Hey guys, it's Ted Gravelin. I thought I would do my semi-usual Sunday evening kind of video chat with you guys on Facebook Live. So, what I was going to talk about today is some big myths, three big myths of marketing your HVAC company. There's a couple of them out there that people tend to follow these myths and think that they're true. So we're going to kind of blow those up a little bit today. And so if you're in the right place, if you're trying to figure out how to grow a business and you think you want to try marketing and that, we'll talk about that today. So a couple things to talk about before we start off on the marketing myths is you do have to have a few things in place for a decent business before you market. Because if you're not doing the basic foundations of a good business, you're going to struggle for a very long time to do marketing. So the first foundation is you got to have all your numbers right. You have to know and have command of your profits and your margins and that stuff. And you have to have a sales process in place, because if you don't have that, if you're just kind of winging it all the time, then you're going to struggle, because you're not going to be able to get good data on your marketing, because you're going to say, we drove all these leads and no one bought anything. So then you kind of blame the marketing. That's pretty common. But the first myth I want to talk about for marketing is that all you have to do is get your name out there. You see this all the time with especially newer companies. I talk to them all the time and I hear things like, man, I just need to get my name out there. Well, no, you don't. You probably have, quote, your name out there, unquote. If, basically what that means when I hear it is it just tells me, hey, look, here's my name, here's my phone number, I hope you call me someday. So getting your name out there is not probably going to be the magic bullet that you're looking for. You're going to have an entire campaign that has good copywriting behind it, good offers behind it, and a lot of those, kind of behind the scenes things. So how do you know if your marketing and your ads are making that mistake? Well, just look at them. Just look at the average ad out there, and you're going to see them. What they say is things like, basically the message of their ad is something like, "Here I am. I hope you call me someday when you need me." That's going to be really, really a long, long time to get your money back on your marketing. Now, you can do those kinds of branding plays as part of your strategy, and you should as you grow and as you get larger. But frankly, if you need business like right away, like you want to spend some money, like a budget in this month or this week or in the next couple months on a marketing thing, you need to have, for most smaller companies, you need to have a way to spend the money and get a return on it fairly quickly. You can't wait till next year, till you've had enough of this pounding into their head of who you are. So you're going to have offers. There's two kinds of marketing. There's called branding, which is get your name out there. The ultimate in branding is like what you see on all the Super Bowl ads and stuff, beer commercials, Budweiser, Nike, that kind of thing, Coca-Cola, Chevy trucks, all that stuff. It's basically most of the time, hey, if you're thirsty someday, we hope you buy a Coke. If you want sneakers, we hope you buy the Nikes. But they don't necessarily have hey, we have a deal on this particular kind of Nike, here you go, and here it solves this problem and that. So that's branding. The second type is direct marketing, and the reason it's called direct marketing is because it's a direct response. You run this ad, something happens, something else happens, and we can directly track back all the things that happened back to the ad itself and say, this ad spent this much money and generated this much business. So we can actually directly tie it together, which circles back to what we were talking about initially, is having your numbers in line, because you want to be tracking your data and know whether or not you have a good response, and so that you know which marketing to keep doing and which not. So I know we kind of got off on a tangent there, but yeah, you don't want to do the myth is that all you have to do is put your name out there. You're going to have to do more than that. You're going to have good offers. You're going to have good ad copy. You're going to have the follow through on the rest of the platform, or it's not going to work. So that's the first myth. The second myth is that all you need is the right platform. Well, maybe I should use Facebook. Maybe I should use Google. Oh, maybe has anybody tried direct mail? And it's not the platform. It's really coming back around to, again, the whole concept of how you have to use all those things. And you're going to use them all in concert with each other if you're doing it right. So, everyone's out there looking for the magic bullet of, well, I tried Facebook. I heard it was awesome, and I tried it, and it didn't work. And you're kind of going, well, okay, what didn't work for you? Because what's the purpose of the platform that you're using? And it's just normally to drive traffic. That's what it's for. It drives traffic into your process, and the process is called a funnel. And it's called a funnel because when you draw it out, it looks kind of like a funnel, right? So at the top, there's a whole bunch of people, 100,000 people in your town or whatever that you're sending it to, and then it goes down to 1,000 that looked at your ad, and then it goes down to 100 that clicked it, then it goes down to 10 that called you or whatever. So it funnels down. So as you're building the funnel, all the ad does is it's the top of the funnel. It drives people into the top, and then all the parts of it that fall down to the bottom are the rest of your processes you have to have in place, which, again, in our model, we said, what I said is there, I'm looking at Thomas says he's from Pennsylvania. He got a lot of tips from the site. So ultimately, when you're driving traffic in, you got to have all your processes done. And as we talked about earlier, like, for example, the bottom of the funnel is the sales process. You have to have a way to actually close people and have them sign up on the bottom line to buy your replacement system or whatever it is you ultimately want them to buy. And if you don't have a consistent way of doing that, knowing how that's supposed to work at the bottom, then you're wasting your time to do the stuff at the top because you got holes in it somewhere. So it's like, drive around a boat with a leaky boat. You got to plug up all the holes before you start going out in the ocean, to go out there and really make some big waves with the thing. So it's not the platform, although some platforms are better than others. So it depends on the kind of customer you want to go after. So let me give you an example here. Facebook versus Google. There's two different kinds of customers out there. There's a customer who's looking for someone right now. They woke up with a problem in their house. The air conditioner's not working. The furnace is not working. They've got a plumbing leak. They got something going on where they're saying, on their own, they've said, I need to go find help. So they go to Google, they start searching, and the kind of messaging and the kind of funnel you're going to build for a Google client is the kind of person who basically your messaging might be something more along the lines of, hey, we'll help take care of that for you. Go through this process and we'll get someone out there in the next little while. You might have 1, 2, 3, 4 steps in there. They click the Google ad, it goes to your page. Their page says, call this number. Then they call the number, and then they got to get on your schedule. So there's like 4 steps there. That would be like a Google funnel, and it will attract a certain kind of customer. Problem is, it attracts customers it only attracts customers when they're looking. So, that's going to be a small percentage of your potential in any given day. So, and the only other problem with it is, and probably the biggest problem is, it doesn't work when it's slow out. So in the shoulder seasons and that, Google, even if you're at the top of the heap, or even if you're spending big bucks on AdWords, there's not as many people potentially in the top of the funnel on a Google funnel when things are slow. So should you use Google? Yeah, you should. You should know how to do it. But that doesn't mean it's the only thing you should do. So Facebook, on the other hand, is the opposite kind of customer. That's a passive customer. They're not looking for anything. Nobody jumped on Facebook today trying to search for a contractor or any other product for that matter. What they come to Facebook for is to entertain themselves, or look for stupid videos of people doing stupid cat videos or whatever they're doing. Argue about politics, whatever they do on Facebook. That's what they came for. And what we need to do there is kind of interrupt them with what they were doing and give them something cool to look at, so that they will eventually take an action that you want them to take going through the Facebook funnel. So it's a different message. You don't say, like in the Google funnel, you're probably saying something like, hey, we'll take care of your problem. Do this, do this, do this, and we'll be right over. Facebook is more going to be probably along the lines of, here's this cool thing, talk about this problem that they have. So it might not be a broken system. It might be something more like, you've got kids with allergies, and we start talking about how it sucks and what's terrible about it, and they've tried all these different things, and you're going to go through a funnel, and eventually it's to, we'll go over and do an offer at the in there somewhere that might say something about, we'll do an airflow test or something, or something like that to figure out why you have all this allergies and allergens in your home. And then we can go over and look at their duct systems and all kinds of stuff. And whatever we find when we get there, legitimately, we can sell them. That's part of our funnel. We just know that certain number of customers, if we get a bunch of interest in what we're talking about at the top, some of them will fall through to the bottom of our funnel and eventually get us to the thing that we want to get, where we can get a new customer and help them with a problem they have. So that's the second big myth, is that you just need the right platform. Now, having said that, there's also things on the platforms where, for example, a Google click in a lot of places for some of the good keywords, they're $50, $60, $80, $100 a click. So you can blow through a daily budget very, very quickly on Google. The good news with Facebook is that there's a lot more potential out there, and the clicks are way cheaper. I'm currently paying under $2 a click. It used to be, a couple of years ago, it was like 25 cents a click. Now it's $1 or $2, but it's still way better than $50 or $75 a click. The big downside to Facebook is you probably need more steps in your funnel. You're not going to be able to get away with just running an ad and here they come to you. So, you're going to need some follow-up systems. You're going to need to have things like, when they click your ad, where does it go? How do we collect some information from the customer about what they're interested in, about what might be, we need to collect like their email address and a couple of things from them so that we can follow up, because you're going to have to build a follow-up system in there to follow back up. You're probably not going to get a Facebook customer most of the time to call you or complete your funnel like in the next 10 minutes. Now, that doesn't mean it takes 3 months, because that's a branding play, taking a long time. But you're going to have to go through some steps where I'm going to get leads into a system where I need to, from my end, from the business end, follow back up with people and say, hey, you were interested in this thing. Are you still interested? How can I help you? Now, there's a couple ways to do it. One way is, if you get their phone number, you can just call them up and say, hey, did you have an interest in this? You contacted us yesterday and we can help you. The outbound phone calling like that to follow up is a very effective tactic if you got that tight in your business. There's other ways to do it on a more automated basis. You can do automated texting. You should be collecting email addresses and sending automated emails. And there's a whole bunch of technical things we could go into about how to set those kind of technologies up so that you don't have to do it all day long. So in the end, those technologies, once you set them up, they're great, because it's like a little machine that runs for you and it just kind of does all those things behind the scenes. So really awesome stuff there. We could probably go for a long time talking about how to set those up, and I'm not going to do that today. I do that a lot for my clients when I'm working for them. We talk about how to set those things up, but I'll give you a couple of clues. You need to be sending emails, and you need to be sending emails from a real CRM, customer resource management system. That does not mean something like MailChimp. It doesn't even mean Constant Contact. As much as the TV commercials make Constant Contact sound like it's the best thing in the world, it's not. And the difference between an email system, like those are just basic systems, and a CRM has ways to track through all of the possible iterations when you set it up right. You're building your funnel. All the steps of your funnel are in that system, so it knows this person got in here at this point, and now they're on step 3, and they didn't make it to step 4, and then we can play games with it, like, well, what can we do to get them stuck on step 3 and into step 4? What other things can we do? So there's one piece there. There's another piece of it for Facebook. There's some really cool stuff called retargeting, and you've seen this happen to you. If they spent time watching your video, if they clicked on your ad, if they did something like that, Facebook will do what's called a pixel. And what that means is Facebook is tracking them for us. Facebook says, hey, we know who looked at your stuff. So we can create an audience of those, and we can create a separate audience. So some really cool stuff there with that platform. But ultimately, the way to make that stuff work is the power of it comes from collecting data and following through with that data all the way through to your endpoint on your funnel. And unfortunately, it's not a 3 or 4 step funnel. It's going to be a little bit more than that. So just to give you a quick idea of the kind of things you can do with retargeting. Let's just say you start with 100,000 people you target in your top of your funnel, and we put a pretty generic target on it, like, hey, people between this age and that age in this town with this kind of zip code. We can do it by zip code. We can do it by pins in a map, put a pin in and put a 10-mile radius or a 2-mile radius or whatever. So as we go and put those things together, we start to get some data because we know who's starting to click. What we don't know initially is which kind of people are really, really responding to the offer we have on that ad. So we might have an idea what we think, but it's only our opinion until we get real data. So we always go with the data, not the drama. So after you get data for a little while, for a couple of weeks or wherever, now we started to build a pixeled audience. So we might have had 500 people click this thing over time. And so now we have a group of 500 people that's a much tighter audience than the 100,000 that we were looking at initially. So there's 2 things we can do with that audience. We can send those people a different ad that's similar to the first similar to the first offer, but slightly different. Something along the lines of, hey, we noticed you did this, you were interested in this thing, are you still interested? Kind of the gist of it that way. And then follow them through a separate second funnel that maybe is streamlined for those folks. The second and really powerful thing you can do with it is you can build what's called a lookalike audience. This is something Facebook does for free. They take the pixeled audience of 500 people, and you need about 500 to 1,000 for them to be able to do this. And what they'll do is you tell Facebook in the targeting when you set up a brand new campaign, a brand new one again. So we still run the first one that's collecting data. Then after a little while, we run the retargeting. And then around the same time, we can set up another audience called a lookalike audience. What lookalike is, tell Facebook, find me a bunch more people that look like these 500 people. So whatever our parameters were on the very first audience we did, the very first one, we tighten that up with the 500, and then we say find more people like the 500. So instead of 500, we can run that up to 50,000 or some other number that Facebook is saying these folks are like those people. Now, what parameters are they using? Tens of thousands of things that Facebook is tracking that we don't know. And frankly, they don't tell us what the algorithm is, but it could be all kinds of weird things that we wouldn't have thought, like, wow, it turns out that just being a homeowner between age 25 and 60 wasn't really good enough. It turns out that 73% of them also, for some reason, have liked golf and, white collar type things. And so they start to target people who are into golf and that and not so much into hunting and fishing, or vice versa. We just don't know. I'm using those as examples. It could be that they all love gourmet food. It could be that they turned out that they're all female instead of male. It could turn out that, wherever that is, say, find us more people like those, because obviously they're the ones responding to our ads. So you can go through those things and build that part also. So that's the second myth, is people think I just need the right platform and everything will work out fine. Well, the platform, think of it like this. Think of it like if you were a clueless person trying to fix an air conditioner and they thought, I just need the right tools. Just give me a set of gauges and I'm good to go. It's like, well, the gauges don't really help that much. It's just a tool. If you don't know how to use it, it's not helping you. Now, in the hands of someone who knows what they're doing, it's the best tool in the world, right? But it doesn't help just to have the tool and, just can't kid yourself. I just need to find the right tool and it'll be all good. So it doesn't work that way. So that's the second myth, is the platform is not going to make as much of a difference as the way that you can put your own brain power to it and start thinking about how do you build all the parts and bits and pieces, how do you do retargeting, and how do you build all that stuff. The third myth is that somehow you can just hire the whole thing out. Now you can hire out parts of it. Like, for example, you might say, I need a new website, and you don't have to learn how to code an HTML website, but you do need to understand how that website fits into your overall plan. And you can't hire somebody to just say, I don't know how to do it. I'm just a service tech that started this business, and I'm just going to, hire somebody and they're going to just take care of it and my business will grow. the only person who's responsible to grow a business is the owner of the business. That's period. Point blank, period. If you're not taking responsibility for that and taking your own actions to do what you need to do to make that happen, then that's the mistake, is thinking somehow you can wash your hands of it and just say, I'm done with it. That's not going to work. So what it means is all these pieces and bits that we're talking about, you have to understand how those things work. And if you don't get it, then you have to get help so that you understand where that comes from. That's where folks like me come in. Like, I'm a business coach. I show people how this stuff works, how to fit the pieces together. And then there's pieces of it that you can farm out. Like, for example, you may not want to write all your emails because maybe you're not great at writing and you're going to find someone in your office who's really good at it. Maybe you're going to not be the one who calls everyone on the phone. Maybe you're going to have someone doing that in your business. Maybe when it comes to hooking up the technology to hook the lead collection system over to the text back system, and that could be a thing where you can farm a piece of that technology out. So you do that. But ultimately, there's got to be a conductor for the orchestra, and it has to be you. So the big myth I see all the time is like, well, I don't know how to do it. I'll just hire some guy because somebody said they can run my marketing for me. I have yet to see that work. 30 years in this business, and I have not seen a business that was really, really large and thriving where the owner did not understand how this works. It's something you have to learn. It's a skill set. And it's the same skill set as you have to know how to set your pricing. You have to know how to do your sales. You have to understand this stuff. It's not enough to just be a service tech with a tool bag who's really good at fixing stuff, at least not in the modern day. So those were the three myths. I guess I can hang out for a bit and take some questions. If anybody's got any, you can type them in, and I guess I'll listen to them. So if you've got any, let me know and we'll talk. But if you need help with this stuff, what I'm offering today, what I offer is I can do phone consult with you guys one-on-one with a few people. I offer a few every few days because there's only one of me, so I can't do 500 people. I wouldn't be able to handle that. I wouldn't be able to talk to that many people in a week. But I have a couple of slots every day, most of my work days, where I say, okay, if you can go to a site, to my site, pick a slot, pick a time, we'll have a phone chat, figure out what's going on. Maybe I can figure out how to help you get off this and get unstuck. That's what I do all day long. So let me just type in the link here. Yeah, like that. There we go. So if I type that in there you give you the link there. You can click it, and it'll take you to the booking page where you can pick a time. You just pick the date you want and the time, and we can have a chat. So if there's any other questions, I'd happy to chat with you guys and see what's going on. So it looks like Brett says well, I guess it's probably hello from Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah, I've been to Cleveland. It was, right there on the lake, right? So, I grew up in Michigan, so I'm familiar with Lake Erie because it was down the street from where I used to go to high school, but on the Michigan side at the end of it, down where the Detroit River becomes Lake Erie. So, familiar with that. And it said Thomas Snavely says, hi from Pennsylvania. You got a lot of tips from this site. Well, I'm glad you like the site. I'm not the principal that runs it, but I do pop in here from time to time and do some video training. So I don't see any questions popping up unless I'm missing something somewhere. I haven't seen any yet. So I will just call that a day, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video chat today, and we'll talk soon.